Yeah, Steve was a very gifted musician, and I learned a heck of a lot from him. And did a bunch of cool gigs, and did a couple strange gigs. And for example, we did one gig where we were in the back of a Brinks armored truck. And when I think it was the 100,000th customer of Instant Oil Change came up to the stall, we all busted out of the truck, started playing.
When I really got to know Steve and how wacky he was in 10th grade. We were in a play, a National Lampoon play in 10th grade English together. There were 4 of us, and we became good friends. And then I didn't see him for many years, and then I worked at the Humane Society and went to a musician's New Year's Eve party, which is always the night before New Year's Eve because musicians are gigging. And I ran into him, and I'm like, Steve Hegman? You know, I haven't seen him in ages, and he was a little flirtatious with me, and I think, we were both single at the time, and I had wanted to get together and talk to him about some music stuff because I wanted to be a singer. I was a singer, sort of. And he said, well, yeah, we should get together. And we got together and we started dating, and I ended up living with him for a while. That kind of happened by accident because I needed a place to live. I was leaving my apartment. He said, oh, come live with me. Steve liked to have women living with him. And so we, pretty much the day I moved in, I realized I can't live with Steve. I love him dearly, I always will, but we were not meant to live together. And I think we both knew that. So I stayed there, I don't know, it was 9 months, maybe. But in the meantime, we became very close. I became very close to his wonderful family, who I just adore, the Hegman family, and they took me in, and I went to many Christmases and Easters there, and got to know the kids, Johnny and Rachel, and then Carly, and just loved them. Steve was one of the most offbeat, wacky people you'll find, and that's what makes him irreplaceable to me. That's why this loss has been very difficult for me. Am I supposed to not cry on camera?
Missed the Saturday dance, heard they crowded the floor. Awfully different without you, don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club, got as far as the door. They'd have asked me about you, don't get around much anymore. Darling, more at ease, but nevertheless, why stir up memories? Been invited on dates, might have gone, but what for? They'd have asked me about you, don't get around much anymore. Mark Nelson. John Keane. Chris Wiley. Sten Johnson. Bill Grenke. Missed the Saturday dance. Heard they crowded the floor. Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Gone as far as the door. They'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Darling, I guess my mind's more at ease, but nevertheless, why stir up memories? Been invited on dates, might have gone, but what for? They'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore.
What I was going to say is that Steve is irreplaceable. I am sure that every person in this room that knows him does not know another person like him. And to say he was offbeat, I mean, we all know offbeat people, but he was just off the curve entirely, and very creative, very clever. He wanted to make people laugh, and he wanted to entertain people and share music with them, and I think he just wanted to make people happy, and I don't think he knew how much he did that. That sure was apparent, you know, after his death, and I just hope that he knew and knows now somehow that so many people loved him and appreciated him, and how many people he did touch. Obviously, he touched me for much of my life. He was always, you know, in many ways we were soulmates, and even though we weren't meant to stay together and live together forever, we were friends. We were forever friends, and I knew that he cared about me forever, and I think he knew likewise about me. And oh, I started to say earlier that, you know, he remained friends with a lot of his ex-girlfriends, and how many people can say that? I mean, he was just that kind of guy that once you loved him, you always loved him, and I will never forget him.
And when D.C., when I come home to you, San Francisco, your golden sun will Bruce Pedalty. My love waits there in San Francisco, above the blue. And when D.C., when I come home to you, San Francisco, your golden sun will shine for me. It's for you, Steve.
I'm
Well,
mad
that's
at
a
him.
start.
No, I'm just mad at him.
Explain.
Oh, Stephen. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye.
If he could hear you right now, what would you get to say to him
Well,
right now?
funny thing, I think he can hear me. I do believe that. I think he's here. He really, I would say, of the people I've known, he taught me the importance of laughter and how to laugh. I have so many wonderful stories about how the things that I couldn't have laughed about, that he taught me how to laugh. And we had a great time traveling. We traveled only one place actually, to Amsterdam, but we had a blast there. He was really mad at me because I didn't want him to do drugs when we were in Amsterdam. You have to edit that out now. But you know, we were I was kind of afraid. I didn't know what it would be like. And I said, "You can't do drugs while we're traveling. You're with me," you know. And anyway, he was quite a man. I'm a cancer survivor. And I had pancreatic cancer, and they gave me just a few. I wasn't supposed to live long, and his family was instrumental in helping me get to Mayo Clinic where I needed to be. And after I was still on Earth for a while, I developed breast cancer, 2 kinds, and I'm just going to be very graphic here and tell you. I called up Steve, and we'd already broken up at the time, and I said, "Steven, they're going to cut off one of my breasts." And I was on the phone and I was sobbing, and he goes, "Oh my God, Mayr, I'm so sorry." And I go, "Steven, they're going to cut off one of my breasts." And he goes, "Mayr, Mayr, 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 it's going to be okay." And I go, "Steven, they're going to cut off one of my breasts." And he goes, "Mayr, I want you to listen to me now." And I'm sobbing. I'm in my bedroom, and he's somewhere in Minneapolis or wherever, just talking to this distraught, crazy woman. At the time, I felt kind of crazy. So he goes, "I want you to sit down and listen." I said, "Okay, what is it?" He goes, "Mayr, a one-breasted woman is every man's dream." And I said, "You are being too irreverent. That is not okay right now at this moment. I have something serious happening. You can't make me laugh." And he said, "Mayr, it's every man's dream, but they'll never tell you." And so he goes, "Now let me just explain this to you." So you can edit all this out, but this is really something I probably write about one day for breast cancer patients. He goes, "Now, guys will never tell you this, but you're a guy, and you're working on one thing, and you want to go somewhere else, but you can't, because you got the other thing to attend to." He goes, "This cuts right to the chase. Not to worry, you're going to be just fine. Don't worry about a thing." I started to laugh, and I laughed, and I laughed, and that got me through breast cancer. And I think at the time, as I look back, I don't think I had the mastectomy yet, but I hadn't. In fact, now I remember I hadn't had it. I went into surgery. At Mayo Clinic, the entire OR people, they all laughed hysterically, and that's the last thing I remember. And then I was out, and then I had the surgery. But that changed me, and it allowed me to go on. And I've never forgotten that. So, Steven, there you have it. He was quite a man, and I still love him.